Charlie, thank you very much. It's wonderful for you to do this. I want to ask you what runs through your mind as you see these images from the planet Mars and the new rover, which has just landed and has great expectations before us. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm very, very excited. First, I'd like to give congratulations to the team, not only those that built it, tested it, flew it, and then landed it successfully. They did a fantastic job. I've looked at the preliminary pictures, and it looks like Mars, no question about it.
Are you saying it's not? You're saying it's not a movie set then?
I don't think it's a movie set. No, they actually pulled it off, and so I'm very excited about it. And I think they've got some wonderful opportunities coming up over a couple of year period with a little helicopter helping, and then the science experiments on the Perseverance is going to be really, really exciting. And I'm excited to see what kind of information they're getting. And I'm excited about the future of space flight, especially Artemis, and then what I'd call the private sector is doing, SpaceX, Blue Origin, and others like that. It's going to be exciting next decade, I think.
If you were a 25-year-old man today, would you volunteer on a mission to Mars?
I'd have to think about it. That's a long flight, and it's going to be psychologically demanding, and there's going to be some problems. Certainly, when I was working on Apollo, back then I would have said, yeah, I'd go to Mars. But when you send people to Mars, you're really committing yourself. This thing's got to work. If it doesn't, there's no hope. I'd have to evaluate whether if I was single, I'd probably do it. If I was married, I'm not sure.
Right. And that brings me to an important question about risk. This is a country which was founded in large part on risk-taking. The revolution was a risk. The capitalist system involves risk-taking. The exploration of the West involved tremendous risk-taking, on and on and on. You could make many, many examples of that. And certainly the first astronauts, and you were among them, took tremendous risks in these complex missions. Has the United States lost some of that risk-taking capability, you think? Some of that risk-taking drive?
I think a little bit, yeah. They are very cautious now, and but I believe they're being spurred ahead by the private sector, and they do things quickly and thoroughly and successfully, and I think that's motivating NASA to get going. And looking forward to the Artemis, I'm very excited about that. I'm consulting a little bit on a project there, and so if our government stands behind it, it's going to be a successful program, and we're going to start taking these risks, I'm sure, again. I think we lost a little bit of it after Challenger, and things got really, really cautious. But I see a new generation coming, and people want to step out. They're willing to take those risks, the crews, and I think the engineers and all. And so we'll be, I think we're coming back.
And what is the ultimate goal, the ultimate achievement associated with such risk-taking? What is the point of manned space exploration?
Well, let me say, Moon was a tremendous opportunity. I think it started basically as we got to beat the Russians.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win.
It turned into a fantastic science experiment. The last three missions were totally science, 15, 16, and 17. And it was all designed for science and learning about our universe and the moon and the character of it and all of those kind of things. And I think a return to the moon with Artemis is going to be a fantastic opportunity for a deep space science station. We got a science stations in Antarctica. You could make the same article. Why are we going to Antarctica and with a science station and living down there for 6 months? It's hostile. But so the moon is the same, but there are some real advantages of going to the moon and returning and building a science station. And so I see that as probably the next manned deep space program would be Artemis, and I hope that it succeeds. I think it will make great gains, and I think we'll learn how to utilize some of the moon's resources and to help us back here on Earth.
I think maybe a lot of young people don't really fully understand the technological advancements of the Apollo program and the space program in general, and the everyday advances we see in life that came originally from the space program.
Yeah, no question. I speak, I'm still do a lot of speaking motivationally and with my Christian ministry. And one of the objects I use, I pull out my cell phone. And I said, this cell phone's got 800,000 times the memory of my Apollo computer, and it fits in my hand. And the young generation just take it for granted. You know, you look at them, they all walking around with their phones. They got their iPads, they got their laptops, you name it, and they take it all for granted. But it's a foundational technology because of what we pushed on the moon. And they're not only in electronics, but in a lot of other materials and manufacturing techniques and just way to do things. And
well, go through a couple of those if you can remember any of them off the top of your head. What are some of the manufacturing techniques, some of the materials, some of the everyday devices other than cell phones?
Well, we had, well, of course, computer technology is part of the space program. We needed micro-miniaturization, and so we've got that. We got little CubeSats now that, and people are using, that's the space stuff, but people are using technology to control their house, the temperature, their refrigerator, anything. Lights on, lights off, garage door up, garage door down, all done through your cell phone these days. So those are the kind of things I see that we take it for granted, but it has simplified and improved the quality of life here on Earth. And as far as materials, titanium, manufacturing airplanes, composites, welding, things like that, spot welding and automation, and all of these things are coming along, and they're rooted in technology somewhere, and I think most of it comes out of the space program.
I often think also the microwave oven and how massive a change it wrought on society, that in many respects it freed up men and women from their individual roles in society. Women were freed up from the hassles of preparing meals all day in many respects, and allowed them, in some respects, I suppose, to get into the workforce. And the microwave oven, correct me if I'm wrong, was a part of the space program too.
I would say so, yeah. Of course, we didn't have any on Apollo. We didn't even have any hot water on the moon and the lunar module, so it was sort of primitive. But today,
anyway,
station and refrigerators and flushing toilets, if you will, and all of that kind of stuff, they're first class compared to what we had on Apollo. But Apollo worked, and we were willing to take the risk. And it was just a challenge that we all accepted. And then my wife's just showing me in the medical field, medicine's is just leaped forward with techniques to treat and to cure. I just went through a procedure. It was called high intensity focused ultrasound. It was an ultrasound treatment on a cancer I had, and it was painless. And in the past, it was a very it would have been a very difficult procedure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I want to ask you a little bit more about on the subject of getting sick in old age, and as one ages, and I speak from experience that one's thoughts tend to become very vivid about your early life. You have very vivid memories, at least I do, and I've spoken to lots of friends my age who do. You must have very vivid memories of the lunar mission that you were on. And as that being your first time in space, it must have been all the more awe-inspiring. What stands out in your mind at your age now, looking back on those years?
Well, several major events really are predominant. First off, liftoff on the Saturn V, very dynamic, very shaky, but tremendous power that was pushing you into space. Then that first view we had of Earth about 20,000 miles away, this circle of the Earth with the incredibly bright blues and whites and brown of the land and the color, and then the blackness of space. It was just awesome. And then our landing on the moon was very, very dynamic and very exciting. And our photographs for our landing site, which we studied and trained towards, only had a resolution of 45 feet. And so that meant you can't see craters less than 45 feet or features. And so there are a lot of stuff up on the moon where we landed, it's less than 45 feet. So you had to maneuver around, and that was dynamic. Just being on the moon was awesome. It was exciting, adventurous, wonder, awe, thrilling. And you never, John and I never got over that. We just enjoyed it.
How did it change your life?
It really didn't. I don't think so in the long run. If you mean spiritually or philosophically, it didn't have an effect on me. That came later, about 6 years later, where I had a dramatic encounter with Jesus, and that really affected my family, my life, and my future. And so, but that wasn't a result of the space program. But as a result of that encounter, I look back now on Apollo, and as the scripture says, the skies proclaim the glory of God. And I see it all now as just an immense universe that's in order and of a creator. And so that's been the change in my life, but that came after Apollo. But
in your mind, would the creator be in favor of space exploration?
I think, yes, I think God, well, I think God has given us a creative mind. He's given us intuition. He's given us inquisitiveness. And he wants to wants us to discover through experimentation and science the things that he has given us to create and to utilize. Yeah, I mean, that's all part of our inside of us. We've got this desire to let's discover, let's go. People want to go to the bottom of the ocean. People want to go to Mars. People want to go back to the moon. And all of those are areas of exploration. And I think that's just in our nature. So I have no problem with people wanting to explore and to be inquisitive and to discover.
What do you say to those people who say it's too expensive?
Well, it costs a lot of money, but as I said in Apollo, we didn't spend a dime on the moon. We spent it all in the United States of America. 400,000 jobs. That's a lot of jobs. And then the ancillary jobs, somebody had to bring the groceries for those 400,000 people. Somebody had to make the tires for their cars. Somebody had to make the tires or the engines for their cars and build their houses. And, you know, all of that spreads out. And so it was a tremendous economic benefit for the country. Harvard Business School and others have done studies that rate of return on that investment has been incalculable now.
Right. Charlie, anything else that you would like to add?
No, Doug, it's been fine. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to visit with you again. Appreciate
it. Thank you very much for taking time to talk to us. We look forward to the development of this mission to Mars and what follows. And I just want to close by saying thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for your contributions to the United States, to science, and to the benefit of mankind. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you very much. See you later.